Research shows women earn just about 81 cents for every dollar men earned last year. Under these standards, women would on average make nearly $500,000 less than men over the course of their careers. It is all detailed in a new Fast Company magazine article. The report looks at the, quote, long and frustrating history of the gender wage gap. It found it's estimated to take 40 years to close the pay gap and much longer if you factor in race. Lydia Dishman is a contributing editor at Fast Company and the reporter behind that piece. She joins me now from New York City. Lydia, welcome. I'm really glad to have the chance to talk to you about this. We're, of course, bringing attention to this issue on Equal Pay Day, but this has been a political issue going back to the 1800s. Why do you think more progress has not been made?
Oh, that's a many-layered topic, and there are a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that legislation has not been passed to have a federally mandated equal pay policy. But going all the way back to the Civil War, that the groundwork was laid to not have that legislation be in place.
Well, let's talk about, Lydia, the codification of so-called women's work. Your article explains that even after women first entered the workforce, sexism limited their ability to get promoted. So what did that look like?
Well, the original female workers for the government were conscripted to cut currency. Their hands were smaller and the labor was cheap, so that's what they were using, and that was way too good for the government to pass up. So even though the Treasury did try to apply an equal pay principle in a congressional report that year, female clerks were always subjected to some kind of harassment, and it's the kind of harassment that exists in the workforce today. And so the argument shifted to accusing women of being temptresses in the workplace and having men not be able to get their work done because women were there. And so the legislation just stalled out. And then what happened was that there was this notion of having exclusively female positions, so there wouldn't be any instance of having women in the workplace be tempting men to not get their work done. And so those types of jobs were segregated by gender.
You know, it's, I think, remarkable to be hearing that in 2021, but then even more, I think, to see how really the legacy of these kinds of ideas and policies are still with us today. So let's talk a little bit more about one aspect of that. Historically, Black women made up a much larger share of the female workforce than white women. Can you break that down further for us and explain some of the additional and longer lasting barriers that Black women in particular have faced and continue to face to this day?
Well, this concept of women's work continued to undermine the efforts of Black women to get better jobs, because even though their participation in the labor force was higher, as you said, in 1880, for example, 35.4% of married Black women and 73% of single Black women were working, and just 7.3% of their married white women counterparts were in the workforce. But Black women were relegated to low-wage work, either in domestic service or agriculture. And that persisted through modern day, where you have many Black women in the workforce relegated to low-level service jobs that do not pay as well as other types of jobs.
So, Lydia, at what point in history does legislation start to result in some positive change for working women?
Well, we have President Kennedy signing the Equal Pay Law in 1963. That was despite great opposition from the business community and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. But it wasn't until Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, origin, color, religion, or sex that women had more leverage to be paid equally. And that only happened, interestingly enough, because traditionally certain congressmen tried to get the Civil Rights Act thrown out by adding a provision about sex. But that gambit failed that year. So sex snuck onto the list of things that businesses couldn't discriminate against.
All right, there's so much to unpack with this, and not enough time to do it, but I think this is just a reminder of the importance of having women in places where, in fact, policies are created, policies are enacted, and sort of representation in the business sector, because to have this differential in 2021 is really quite stunning in this day and age. Lydia Dishman for us. Lydia, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.